Hi, in this video I want to talk to you about envisioning your best possible future self and how this can be a very useful technique for creating a picture that you can then use to drive your other actions or your other goal setting intentions. Basically, what we want to do is imagine ourselves in a future scenario and then see about how we can create an image of that we can then work toward. So, to start with, like we have in so many of our other interventions or activities, let's start by just taking a few calming, deep breaths in through the nose and notice the chest rise and fall and allow the mind to center. Once you feel like your mind is fairly centered, fairly calm, we then start with the visualization. Now, something worth mentioning is that because this is a visualization exercise, it's worth doing this in a quiet area where you won't be distracted by other people or outside noises as much as possible. There's really no perfect scenario. From here, close your eyes. And then I want you to envision yourself in a future state where everything has gone exactly the way that you wanted it to. Now I'm going to talk about two different scenarios and feel free to choose the one that most resonates with you. The first is to imagine yourself observing your own funeral. Think about what people are saying, what maybe people are presenting as part of the eulogy, what funny stories are being told, maybe what organizations are sending flowers to your funeral. What are people saying? What do people remember about you and the impact that you had on them? Who's there? Are there any specific groups of people or types of people that maybe have felt the need to come and attend your funeral to show their respects? Now, if this visualization is too morbid or too abstract or just too uncomfortable, you can then maybe instead envision yourself, say 10 or 20 or 30 years in the future. Maybe you're at your 20-year high school reunion or your 30-year college reunion. Once again, imagine yourself in a scenario where everything has gone exactly the way that you wanted it to. Every possible plan you've made has gone exactly the way you wanted it to with the exact results you wanted. Now, before you get too caught up in the idea of, well, that'll never happen, remember, we're not trying to envision an actual scenario. We're looking at a future perfect scenario. So everything has gone exactly the way you wanted it to. Once you've got a really clear picture of what these situations look like, then take some time to journal about them. Write down as much detail as you could remember. What it felt like, what people said, what jokes were told, everything. Write it down in detail. Then, as you go to set your goals or look at what actions you need to take next in your life, you can use this future perfect scenario as a guide to influence or inform these particular actions. You might also take this future perfect scenario or aspects of the future perfect scenario and use those to kickstart the 5 whys, which I talked about in another video, in order to drill down to what the underlying values beneath the particular actions were. So if you ultimately did something in your life that had a specific impact that you find really appealing or really important, maybe then you use that as the catalyst for a 5 whys exercise to understand what the core driving value was underneath. The really big important thing here is that having a plan or having a picture of where you'd ultimately like your life to go can be very valuable in helping to guide your life or guide where your next steps are rather than just wandering aimlessly. Now, it's worth saying at this point that I will ask you to hold those images lightly, so make sure they're nice and clear, but don't get too fixated or too fused with them and expect them to happen exactly the way that you've envisioned them. I hope this has been a useful exercise. Thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to talking to everyone soon.